Good morning, everyone. I am, for those of you who don't know me, Kamrul Ashraf, and as faculty chair of the Center for Development Economics at Williams, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the second year of the CDE Jacobsson Foundation Speaker Series. We are launching our series this year with a visit by Ms. Gelardina Prodani, CDE class of 2009, and currently the Secretary General of the Ministry of Defense of Albania. Following our practice from last year, our event this weekend will come in two parts, a talk today and an interview tomorrow. I'll have more to say about that in a bit. This speaker series continues our tradition of bringing distinguished alumni back to campus, providing an opportunity for current CDE fellows to learn from their experiences and be inspired to reach similar heights in public service. We are grateful to the Jacobsson Foundation for its ongoing support of this initiative, which honors the legacy of Jacobsson, a Swedish economist and managing director of the IMF between 1956 and 1963, whose work championed international cooperation in monetary economics. Let me now say a few words about our speaker today. In her third year as Secretary General of Albania's Ministry of Defense, Ms. Prodani oversees the defense budget and investments in infrastructure and technology at a time when NATO's role in Europe couldn't be more crucial, given the heightened need for international cooperation. Previously, Ms. Prodani held the position of Secretary General of the Ministry of Health and Social Affairs between 2019 and 2022. In this role, she not only managed the response to a 2019 earthquake that afflicted her nation and the COVID-19 pandemic, but also introduced reforms to improve health services and infrastructure more generally, including coordinating vaccine efforts as the National Vaccine Coordinator. Prior to that, Ms. Prodani had an influential career in various leadership roles in the Ministry of Finance for no less than 21 years, including as Secretary General between 2013 and 2019. During that time, she implemented significant reforms and represented Albania on the board of directors of the Black Sea Bank, and also led the network of budget directors for the Public Expenditure Management Program. Evidently, Ms. Prodani has been extremely busy engaging in distinguished public service for her country since receiving her master's degree here at the CDE back in 2009. In closing, I will make two quick announcements. First, you're all invited to return tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time for the second part of our event, namely an interview with Ms. Prodani by our own CDE professor, Ken Kuttner. Second, both our talk today and the interview tomorrow are being live streamed and recorded for the benefit of CDE alumni and policymakers worldwide. Without further ado, let's please give our distinguished speaker a warm welcoming hand, Ms. Prodani.
Thank you very much. Dear students of CDE 2024, dear honorable teachers, dear extraordinary Tom, it's a great pleasure and honor for me to be back in Williams after 15 years, for sharing with you the path that I went through, this period and lessons that I draw through my experience. When I came here as you are now, I belonged to the students group that I had 10 years experience, and I was keeping the position as Director of State Budget in the Ministry of Finance for 3 years, and I had left at my country my 4-year daughter. I remember that I had to explain her that I was leaving her because I have to study. And she answered to me, but mothers doesn't go to school. During the orientation period, often I found myself to question if this program was worthy for me. I already had a great position back home. And with all the sacrifices I was making as a mother, would the value that I was gaining in CDE be justified? The program was not easy. It required a lot of efforts, continuous studies, and I remember we even changed the name of the center from Center of Development of Economics into the Center of Daily Exams. Regardless, all sacrifices that we went through, the value of this program is tremendous. You have the chance to be taught by the best teachers in their field, with a huge experience not only in teaching students, and well published, but even the experts of the best international organizations. The worth of these programs comes from not only from what you learn, but also from what you are going to share with each other, and the relations that you will forge together and which will last for your life forever. This program will also teach you how to succeed and persevere in the most difficult situation you'll face in life. It will make you stronger, and after you are done, you'll feel that there is nothing you can't do. You can say that this is your passport to success. You are Williams now. Carry this name with pride and share it all over the world, because it will bring you honor and privilege as it has brought to me. Thank you. These words were for the program, and of course, everybody is so personal in what we are getting, and if you are getting the question, why? And what's worthy? It's so compound, and it's so personal feeling that you can't express with 1 or 2, 3 sentences, but you'll feel it all or your life. Now, I want to share with you my expertise. As you have seen in my CV, I have 26 years experience in the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Health, and the Ministry of Defense, from which 11 years as a General Secretary, which is the highest position in the ministries as a civil servant. I don't know how this is relevant in your countries, but Albania has an English model. General secretaries are the highest position in the public administration. After that, it's the political, deputy minister and minister. But the general secretary is the one who welcomes the new minister when he comes, and he said to him that, look, I heard your election, I heard your program, and I want you to sit down now and be realistic. Because you may want to reach the sky, but you have to keep the paper and the pencil with you and to see what you have and what are your priorities. This is the case in Albania. It has not been so easy to get this exercise, budget exercise, from politician to public administration. To get this reform, we had the technical assistant from Oxford Policy Management, which has designed all the sets that we do have now. We do have in Albania medium budget programming. It's programming and with some elements of performance programming. Not really one. We're still working on increasing the quality and make it real performance budgeting, but we are not still there. How it look like? Which are the actors? We do have a law on budget managerial system which identify and clarify the role of each actors. As I say to you, General Secretary of each ministry are the champion of the budget. They are the chair of the management budget group of each ministry. This group has been compounded by the main general director of the ministries, which are and correspond with the head of program of each ministries. So each head of program has to fight with the GS and to convince him that the program that he is running is the right one. He has to be financed X amount, and with this X amount money, it has to be clear which is the goal, objectives, actions, output, and how we'll reach, and which is the delivered of the time, which it has to be the policy in 3 years, in midterm. This exercise that has been run by each program manager has to be decided from the group of management and strategic of the line ministries. So this proposal has to be presented to the Ministry of Finance, to the first authorizing officer of the state budget, which is the General Secretary of Ministry of Finance. Our budget process, it's all year one. It starts on February when the Ministry of Finance is designing the macroeconomic fiscal framework for medium term. This projection has been based on 2 past years and +3, which the first year it's annual budget. Based on this macroeconomic framework, they are delivering to the line ministries the ceilings. And the ceilings are divided in current expenditure and capital expenditure. Line ministries has to divide it in the program based on their priorities. And as I said, this has to be detailed enough in goal, policy, activities, and output. After that, they have to submit the first draft of the medium-term budget programming on May in Ministry of Finance. And hearing session has to be delivered through the Ministry of Finance. And after that, on June, we do have the first draft of medium-term budget programming. Medium-term budget programming in Albania, it's the financial instrument of the national strategy for the country. It has to have finance, the most priority of the country, through the line ministries that has their priorities and their sector strategies. On July, we do have the analysis, monitoring what we do have based on the performance of 6 months of the revenues. We can have a new revised fiscal framework, which might be the same if the projections has been quite realistic, or might be the correction based on the performance of the revenue and other figures of the fiscal. On July, Ministry of Finance is issuing the second ceilings, revised ceilings of the line ministries, which has to submit the new revised medium-term budget programming on September. And now it's the real exercise from just the programming now, because the first year is the annual budget for the next year, the first year of the medium-term budget programming. When the line ministries are presenting the budget programming, they have to finance the existing policy. And after that, they have to be clear enough to divide the new policy and how they are thinking to finance it. Ministries has the right to ask for additional requests, which are not finalized on the ceilings, but they have to put on the ceilings what is more important for them, and left behind the additional requests that they might find. If the Ministry of Finance will find additional financing, might finance the requested as well. After that, Ministry of Finance again ran the second round of hearings and submit to the Council of Ministers the medium-term budget programming, which has to be approved by the Parliament as well. It has to be negotiated, discussed on the Parliament. All the discussions are chaired by the Economic Commission of the Parliamentary, and all line ministries, all interest parties are there in order to see how the budget is fulfilling their needs. And after that, the new budget is approved in early December, and waiting the presidential decree in order to be available for the budgetary institution, line ministries as well. And after that, which is the flexibility that system has when the budget is approved? There is only 10% from one program to another within the ceiling that the line ministries has through the Council of Ministers decision to be approved. But line ministries might approve, might correct the reallocation between articles, but only when they belong to the same category. For example, they might shift from current expenditure, but they can't shift from current to capital and from capital to current expenditure. It's not allowed. This has been done only through budget law. After that, when the new budget is available through Ministry of Finance instruction, Ministry of Finance doesn't stop its work, because monitoring and management of the budget starts. Monitoring, we keep noting, reporting for the performance of the output. We see the budget like a contract, written contract between authorizing officer and the first authorizing officer of the Ministry of Finance. If Ministry of Finance has given you X money and you have promised to them that you are going to deliver X amount of output, you have to be able, during the implementation, that you reach that goal. If you don't, you'll be penalized with financing on the next round. So it's always the accountability that you should keep and kept the words. Another thing that it's the auditing, controlling, inspection. We do have internal auditing. Internal auditing, it's depend on minister. It's the structure where the minister audits everything, if the system is working, if the GS is doing a good work on what she's doing or he's doing. So it's a mechanism of controlling. But we do have I-state control, external control as well, which for the biggest spending ministry, it's annually. And we do have an inspection, which is a mechanism that it might be in place when a suspicion, a real suspicion, it's came out on the not good management of the budget or abuse or corruption. This is the system in Albania. What we are doing now, since we do have this in place, still a lot of to do. Because we still need to improve our expertise, we still need to improve our budget formulation, make clear our policy, divide the goals, outputs. We still need to have good projects with well written, where it can be well described what they are going to deliver and the outputs that are going to deliver. And we might be more explicit in what the society is getting from what we are doing as a public administrator. We have to work a little bit in explanatory of the budget documents. It seems that the language used in these documents, it's only for the experts or for the budget people, not for public. We should work and make more clearly written in order to be understandable from all the public as a citizen. We are having a lot of efforts in financing gender policy as well. But still, the efforts are initial. We have some good progress on this, but still not well defined. We have to improve this as well. This is what I wanted to share with you. There are a lot of more, but I wanted to keep a little short in order to give you room for question, answering, and discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Gela, for a very cogent overview of the sort of the procedural complexities of the budgeting infrastructure, both across ministries and how it's coordinated and so forth. Okay, so we have plenty of time for questions. We're happy to open the floor. Participants on Zoom can also potentially communicate questions, and we'll get those transmitted as well. But let's open the floor up to questions, fellows. This is your first chance to impress. So do not be shy.
I realize you prefer to go to students.
You're not a fellow.
Gela, first of all, thank you both for coming and for speaking. I'd like to ask about what you were doing as budget director at the Ministry of Health during the pandemic, because that sounds like a difficult job, to say the least.
Yeah, when I moved, I was bad luck because earthquake came and pandemic came. But in all my career life, I can say that pandemic was the most exceptional one. Of course, for Ministry of Health that has to run all the things was even more difficult. My expertise in Ministry of Finance helped me to identify, to were a little bit ahead of my colleagues in other countries maybe, because immediately I took the needs from all the experts that we do have. We do have at that time committee experts compounded by the most famous doctors that we have in country. And this committee was working with us in Ministry of Health every day. They were the experts who identified to me and certified to me all the requests that we collected from the hospital that were serving COVID. And I remember at that time it wasn't so easy even to identify the needs, because we got wrong messages even from the World Health Organization. It was a known illness. Sometimes once they were telling that you have to, the protocol was changing day by day based on what the patients were living and the impact of the patient's health. So this was the most difficult one, to identify the needs. And after that, to address how to get it. And even the procedure that we had to draw, it has to be emergent, but we are public administration, and we have to be sure that we are doing the correct thing for our country, and we have to be accountable, because we are telling that, look, you are working in emergency, but you are going to be controlled and audited in the peace. So keep notes in everything that you are doing in order to be clear that we have done this because this was the decision that we got and we have to do this and so on, to be clear in every request that we do, and to ensure the control in each phase and divide the responsibility, not to let, although the emergency might, by law in Albania, to give you that one person can do the request, can do the buying, can do the delivering. I prefer to deliver in order to have the control and to have an eye in each phase, which this was one of the best things that I did, because a lot of my colleagues in other countries got in prison, and it might not be only corruption, but it might be they weren't attentive in doing the right thing in the right moment. That was tough. And I remember all my colleagues, they were watching Netflix, all serial, and I was at office.
So, sorry, quick follow-up. Did the expenditures by the Ministry of Health, did those affect, it was such an unusual time, I assume those affected the overall national budget?
Yeah, of course. We went on the revision of budget because we supported the Ministry of Health budget. We doubled the budget of the Ministry of Health. All the budget came from the Ministry of Finance came to Ministry of Health. And they were teasing me. They were saying, you kept the budget with you. Go back.
But even within your system, it was flexible enough to accommodate that unusual event.
On pandemic, you are in emergency. They revised the budget immediately with normative acts. We do have such in our legal base that the budget came in power with the Council of Ministers, and it has to be certified by the Parliament within 45 days. But only when it is emergency, it's done by the Council of Ministers degree. So, and vaccine was another mechanism that we went through, and we were good even on getting a lot of financial aid from the partners. US Embassy was one that I asked from US Embassy, and they gave us a lot of grants and equipments, and grant in money and in nature, we said, when they are providing equipments, medical protection, personal protection equipments, and so on.
Yep. Hello, everyone. My My name is Nursultan. Once again, I am from Kyrgyzstan, which is located in Central Asia. Thank you for your wonderful speech. It was inspiring. I mean, this kind of, thank you for organizing these events, because this kind of events will inspire us, you know. And now I'm thinking that maybe in 10 years I also will be here and give some wonderful speeches you did today.
You make it shorter. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And my question is simple. So, what is your future plan? So, are you going to stay? I mean, 3 years, 4 years, and after that, what you're going to do? And we're going to maybe become president of Albania. And what is your future plan?
You catch my point. I am in a point, in fact, that I have to leave General Secretary because it's becoming like a professional now. From 26 years, 11 years as General Secretary, it's too much. And, but I'm not going to run for politics. I don't like politics. I think it's a very narrow jacket for myself. I'll see. Maybe consultant in international organization, but I don't want to leave my country. It's like this dilemma, but still, we'll see.
Thank you for your speech. It was very, very inspiring. I just want to know that, females' representation at leadership roles is not easy. It's very challenging. And then you had a glorious career, especially at the ministry. So how was your journey as a female? Was it challenging, or was it like in Albania it's still more acceptable?
In Albania, it's a modern culture. But you find mostly in the low level, there are women which predominate. But when you go at general director level, men are more in numbers. But with our Prime Minister now, he is in third mandate, men are in the minority. So in the cabinet, we do have only 3 men, and all women. He trusts on women, so we are lucky.
My name is Estella from Zambia. I wanted to find out, I think for us the civil service is a very complex place to work, because whenever there is a change in the political system, most of civil service are removed. So I wanted to find out from you, having been in the civil service for this long, how do you manage to navigate different political cycles or political regimes?
We do have in public, if you are a public servant, it's more easy to keep the position, although the minister changed. And I've been lucky that most of my career has been in Ministry of Finance, because all the Minister of Finance was our teachers in the faculty. Although they belong to one party to another, they know us as students. So we have a chance to have so close relationship with them, and they respect our expertise. And I told you that we didn't belong to politics. We are technicians, and we are very clear, even with the ministers. There are cases that when new minister come, especially we say that the high position on the public servant, they might say that I don't want to work with you. I don't think that you can fulfill my agenda. So he might, through you, we do have a basket with a high public administrator servant. And you put you in basket, and he has to choose somebody from that basket too. So it's like flexibility. But our government now is in her third mandate. So the personnel movements are slow, which helps in the following the reforms.
I actually had a follow-up question to that, very related. So in addition to sort of the potential personnel changes that might come with, a changing political regime or a new party coming to power, as somebody who has worked in the budgetary process for so long, Have you experienced situations where, due to a change due to the political cycle, there are new policies that are implemented midway through or there are new policies that are requested when a new policy cycle comes to play? And what are the challenges there in terms of maintaining the discipline of the process, but also trying to accommodate the policy changes that are trying to be mandated by the cycle?
As I explained to you, the budget process in Albania, it's not something that it depends on budget officers. It belongs to all the staff in the ministry, and especially on the general director of the ministry, because they are the head of programs. They are who design the programs, policies, activities, outputs. Budget office is only the guy who helps the techniques. Especially the politics doesn't like to catch the budget stuff. They seem boring and they seem that they keep notes and they are realizing what they were asking for. They change these other troops. Of course, new government comes with new agenda. It doesn't make any sense to continue the old this agenda because why are changes? But when they came with an agenda, they came with the new structure of the ministries, they new responsibilities, they share some responsibility from one ministry to another. They might shrink the ministries, they might divide the ministries. This allows them to reorganize even the staff and to put what to want, but they have to keep that if the status of the personnel. Otherwise, the staff might go to court and win all the privilege without working, which is economic catastrophe for the institution. As I said, minister came with the program. He said, I want to reach this and that and that. Go and find a way. How can we do it? So.
Thank you. Other questions?
Another question. My name is Israel from Rwanda. Mine is on the budget process. Seems quite similar to my country, except that in our country we also have the core national strategy that guides the development of those line ministries' budgetary plan. And I assume the conflict of interest if there is no core national strategy that guides the development of the plan. Do you experience that conflict of interest between the sectors?
Usually the government, in Albania, government when come in power, it set up and designed the national strategy based on the program of the party that came in power. We designed the national strategy and we follow all the cycle. If we don't have, we have the sectoral strategies. So we are using to prioritize sector strategy, and it's the Council of Ministers who decide which will be the priorities in the leg. But usually we do have the national strategy in place and we know how it will go.
I think another topical issue that we have is public debt management. And so I heard how elaborate your budget planning is for us, like in our experience sometimes, especially for DFIs, you find they also have different set of priorities, which sometimes may not be what you want to do now, but how do you harmonize that, like the priorities of the DFIs versus your priorities? That's one. And then during the year, how do you plan for debt financing over the medium term and over the budget term?
We are under fiscal consolidation, and we are a country that we are respecting the golden rule. We do not borrow for current expenditure. We borrow only for capital. And we set this in our budgetary management system. And we do have another anchor which allow us to keep on fiscal consolidation in order to reduce the debt. We aimed that to have 45% of GDP, the debt, in 2030. And for that, we have to be and to put some anchor in order that citizens, nobody can, even the politicians, can't go through. And another is that we kept the investment, the capital investment, in 5% of GDP, and else, whatever we can have else, it will go to finance it will go to decrease the debt. So these two has worked in our country to reduce the debt. In 2013, we have it in 68% of GDP. Now we reached almost 58.9% of GDP, and it's still, we keep pushing them. For the debt, for the liquidity that we are getting for financing the budget, when the Ministry of Finance is giving the appropriation funds to all the line ministries based on appropriation that they are getting by the law of the budget, each line ministry has to submit to Ministry of Finance the cash plan. How do they plan to finance their projects? And based on that, Ministry of Finance is designing their cash, how to raise the money from the internal market or external market as a financial instrument. Yes. Yep.
So with the earthquake and COVID and financial crisis earlier with one of the biggest Ponzi schemes in world history, which is saying a lot, has that changed at all, especially the recent events, has that changed at all the way that the finance ministry approaches budgeting?
Yep. We got the lesson from Ponzi scheme. We got the lesson. We had another scheme, arrears. In 2013, we had a lot of arrears, a lot of company. For example, the authority has been contracted more than they could able finance, 77 million US arrears. We had an inventory of the arrears. We went through auditing and we refinance. But for not this thing to happen again, we put some measure. For example, each ministry, when sign a contract, it has to register in our Albanian financial management system. And this system, if you put that contract, you can't have room for other contract, or you can't have room for the contract which are above the appropriation that you get from the law. This keeps the control of the financing and the engagement to the public work. We put that you can't sign a contract without having 20% of the financing of this project. You can't sign the contract. And to make sure that the financing, it will fulfill in the next years as well. The cycle, it will be fulfilled. So we had crisis, we kept notes, we got the lessons and trying to improve ourselves in order not to repeat again.
My name is Beguel Shao. I'm from Mozambique. I have a question. I want to know how, in your country, how is the process of sharing the budget through the province? Is it based on poverty and population, or the production or the output of each province?
We do have a formula of dividing that. This formula has been approved by common sense on political parties, because it has not only power party, but even the opposition has to come and say, look, this is what the region has to deserve. And in this formula, we do have a lot of criteria. Poverty might be, population as well, the productivity of the lands that you belong, it helps. We do have some mining, and in this region they get some extra if they do have mining in their region. So there is a formula, very transparent, that we divide the budget to the regions. And we do have conditional grant and unconditional grant. Conditional grant are the financing that the government do to the region for proper project that the government has to fulfill. These are the ways.
But within the formula, what is the main priority?
I think the population is one, geographical second, because we do have a very distinct between north and south. So on north, the land is not so productive and you have to finance more. These are the most, and poverty. These are the main.
My name is Chilika. I'm from Madagascar, and I'm curious about your leadership style. How is your relationship with your collaborators? And could you give us some advice on how to be a good leader?
I don't know, it's with me or when I go, the work starts. It's the work follows me. I don't know why, but on my success, I am relying on my staff. The team that I'm creating on, I don't recruit any. I work with the people that I found. I give them trust, but I tell them that if you're broken, you don't have a second chance. So you have to behave in order to continue and work together. They know that I'm not so easygoing. If they find out that somebody has not fulfilled its duty as it has to. And I give trust. And when we do have, like we had in COVID time, that we have to design the process, to share responsibilities and to make very prudent with everything. As a team, we decided, we share opinions, both equal, without having that, seeing the category that we are. You might GS, you might be general director, you might be director, you might be specialist. You have the rights equal to talk, to discuss. But when we discuss and follow, and we are clear that we are follow this is the only way. And you have to keep in mind. You have to be convinced that you have done the best, and there is no doubt that could have another way. Or even that you might doubt, never say it. So I think when you give trust and you have a common sense and you are respectful, the success comes with you. But you have to have, since the beginning, the right champion in doing the right work. This is alone you cannot do nothing. And the bosses doesn't work, you know.
Hi, my name is Laurentia from Ghana, West Africa. So the budget, thank you again for your presentation. It's been good and very inspiring, like other colleagues have mentioned. The budget process in your country is also quite similar to that of Ghana, but I think most of the issues that the line ministries raise is timely release of funding for them to be able to implement their budget. And we try our best to explain to them that we don't have enough funding, but when we do, we just give them the funds to implement their project. I want to find out if you have similar challenges in your country and how do you go about it. And my second question is, how do you maintain a work-life balance? What do you do for fun in your leisure period?
The first, money are never enough. Ever, whatever you have. When I was in the Ministry of Finance, although with the expertise that I had, and although I was trying to satisfy everybody, every ministry, always I was the mean person in the room. And they were telling, don't tell her. Don't tell her she doesn't have money. Don't tell her. I was the only person spotted. I understand. Money are those, and you have to divide based on the priorities. What the line ministries might do, they have to prioritize what they need based on the ceilings. If they are willing to get more, they have to fight for it, but they have to have a good project design. In order, if they get, they have to disburse it, because it comes out that all the ministries asking, and after that, they don't have the project in place, they don't have time to procure, and this money go and finance the deficit again. So the fight wasn't worthy. You have to fight when you have the project, well-written project, and project is ready to be procured. And for that, we have done another thing, that we have allowed the ministry, they might start the procurement process even without approval of the last approval of the parliament of the budget, but they might sign the contract only when the budget is in place. But at least you win at least 3 months during the procurement process when you are successful, because it might go from 3 to 6 months when you do have complaint on the economic operator. For the second, when you are GS, you don't have time for fun, unfortunately. That's why I have to quit now.
So that's work-life balance over a very long horizon.
Yeah, my name is Elizabeth. I come from South Sudan. I really like I had before, your speech inspired me, dream more, do more, and be the best place maybe in the future to come. And my question is, I heard that you work with different government officials, like they can change someone, bring someone in. And when we see mostly with politicians, they have a political agenda and promises that they made to people. So when they come to government offices, they come with that mission to achieve that dreams and fulfill those promises. And the Ministry of Finance have their own budget ceilings. So how easy it is to convince the politician coming in not to go beyond the budget ceilings and not to overachieve their dreams, because some of the dreams don't go along with the budget. So,
yeah, that's why we shift the responsibility from minister to public administrator, not to be crazy.
Yeah, and another follow-up was the issue to do with auditing. Normally with audit, the findings are not highly welcome and implemented as they are. So how easy is it to convince the line or the line ministry to implement the results of the audit?
You are talking for internal audit or high state control audit? High state. For the high state control audit, we do have a degree of Council of Ministers. They are obligatory to be fulfilled. You don't have any clue unless you go to court and fight for your right, if you think they are not right, but they are wrong. But there is a degree that well stated that high state control recommendations are forced to in place.
I'm Paris from Ghana. In our country, it's said that we were hit by the COVID very hard. I wanted to know how hard you were hit by the COVID and what are the plans for recovery?
Now I am in defense, but for the COVID, what they were saying when I was back at Ministry of Health, they were saying that we have to learn how to live with it. It will be with us, but not, they say it will not be as severe as it was at the beginning.
In terms of finance, did it lead to any financial consequence?
We do have support the vaccination still, but with a moderate number based on the request that we are getting from the population. And we keep financing, the health sector never stop to ask money and to be financing equipment, infrastructure, and people as well.
Did you study after CDE or that was it?
I finished with CDE, it's enough. 35 years old, what to do? And I refuse to do PhD as well. No.
Oh, please.
My name is Khadija from Kenya. I was asking about how do you guys deal with your stalled projects, maybe due to deficit in the budget or due to change of regime? Like you started a project during this regime and then there's no budget to fund it because another regime came in and they've started their own other projects. Like
You can't because we, as I explained to you, when we do have a contract signed, this contract has to be registered in our Albanian financial information system. And when this contract has been there, they've got its space in each according year. So you can't, you are forced to continue that. You can't interrupt this and start it another engagement.
so it's the system.
Yeah.
And another thing, how did you survive in CDE, the Center of Development of Exams?
You have to ask Tom. he was the guy that got daily complaints. And sometimes he was hidden from us.
Gela, I have a quick follow-up question. I think a common theme that has often come up here, also going back to the issues of crisis that Jerry mentioned, and also issues regarding things like changes in regime or whenever there is a threat that there could be a lack of discipline in the budgeting process, right?
Yes.
That a lot of it is contractually based, and I think a big part of the credibility of that is how well the contracts are enforced.
Yeah.
Right? So the credibility of the court system is a big factor, and there is a lot of variation in among countries, including those that are represented here as well as the one that I'm from. But in your experience, without necessarily going into specific examples, have you seen instances of breaches of the types of contracts that you have spoken about, and under those circumstances, how well have they been resolved by the court system?
Based on my experience, it has been worst, but now everything is online. And the public pressure has been increased, in fact, and sometimes they're abusing, even when the public officer has done right, they're abusing with the words. Yeah. But anyhow, we couldn't correct everybody. Since all the procurements are online, transparent, all the economic operator has the right to complain, to give their views, and we do have another, it's not only the ministry we decide, the ministry might analyze the request that got from economic operator, but it's we call it Public Procurement Commission, who is like a judge on the procurement fields who decides which is right and which was wrong. But with that online system, the things has been improved. You can't, it's so hard to manipulate, or you have to be IT expert. But it's not so easy.
Yes, of course. Oh, another question.
Okay, thank you. I'm Constant Ginji from Tamil. I'm glad to hear that we have the same budget process. The process you explained here is the same in my country, except that the ceilings are set by the Prime Minister. In our country, we have good documents, good process, good procedures, but we are still developing countries. What is the problem?
Not the documents, for sure. Not the document, for sure.
Good documents, many economists well trained, but we still developing something.
What's the revenue share in GDP at your country? That's the point. You have to collect more to distribute more.
So we're just coming up on time here now, right, Tom? But I mean, maybe just on one closing thought, given that Gela, you've been serving in your current role as Secretary General in the Ministry of Defense, it's a complex geopolitical time, of course, for the continent, and of course Albania is part of the alliance. Have you faced any sort of challenges in terms of, again, sort of navigating budgetary issues vis-a-vis sort of geopolitical pressures, if you will, and what, how have those challenges been navigated through?
Mm-hmm. I'll divide. Once the expertise that I got in Ministry of Finance and as the General Secretary of Ministry of Finance, it gives me the chance to know the issues of all line ministries. So when I went to Ministry of Health, I knew where the issues were because they were presented, as I explained, twice a year in Ministry of Finance. And it was the same with the Ministry of Defense. For sure, we are member of Alliance. We do have, it's our 15th anniversary this year and 75th anniversary of NATO. And we did have a commitment that our Prime Minister has given for fulfill 2% of GDP of defense, and we reached it. We were, I think, 22nd countries that reached that goal, which has been declared in the summit in Washington this year. Of course, it's not easy that for a budget like us, small budget, to dedicate 2% of GDP in defense. Because defense, it's something that you don't realize as a public. Because when you are Prime Minister and when you have a project for hospital, compared to repair a building for a soldier, of course you are going to give priority to hospital. Or to buy ammunition, you say, why I need it? We don't fight. What's that? Why you are throwing the money over there? But when the peace comes in question mark, you understand that nothing matters else. So we are in the momentum that we had this chance to get money, but we have to be clear what we are going to do with that in order to fulfill the plan that we have declared to NATO Alliance, because when you are a member, you do have duties and tasks, and we report on that, which are the we declare twice a year, and we said, okay, we are going to reach this and that, and on September comes very soon, and you have to declare what you did. So, and when you are alliance, you have to have the battalion that has to be in the same standard as a NATO member. So you have to finance always. It's a keep going exercise. We hope that we are not using them and hope that we are using only for exercise and keep training, but not for real. But still, the pressure has been increased, and now we are revitalizing even the industry. We were one of the countries which has generated a lot of military company, but unfortunately for 30 years they have been only degraded and they haven't any interest. We haven't, as a ministry, doing something with it. Now that even the industry is in high demand, we are seeing that even you don't have money. I see like COVID time. You do have money, but industry couldn't answer your request because they are all obliged. And they say, okay, contract it's signing now, and we are getting to 2027. It's like, why should I need that? So it's
give and take. Absolutely. Gela, thank you very much. So we are actually slightly over time, but we will have some time for casual after the formal ending of this event. Some time for casual interactions before lunch is served. But with that, let's bring our event this morning to a close. Let's give our speaker a big round of applause for